trees I'm riding around. Come to my side of town. Lately it's been going down.
All of my niggas gon' ride with it in the pocket, the rocket like killing mom. Mama told me the power was in
that
the tongue,
wasn't
but it
supposed to
powerful
transition
as a
that
gun.
way. I'll probably get demonetized for that one. Let me go ahead and switch it on over. But with that being said, what up, y'all? Hope all is well with ya. It is another beautiful day out there in the trading world. Bitcoin had a very nice move today. It went up to a key level that we've been looking at, right? We did identify a trend, and we are there right now, kind of testing that area. We do have some passive order sitting on the books. We'll get that. But we did full TP on a call that we had live on this channel. So, as I always say, if you enjoy the sauce, if you enjoy the TA that you get here, please like and subscribe. That helps me grow. And that's all I'm really asking for you. I do have some big news of brewing. All right, this ain't 100%, but I might give you a little bit of a teaser. And here we go, baby. This could be coming down the pipe, man. I've been talking to some homies, some G's in the space, that these dudes can trade. All right, these dudes can trade. They're very good analysts, and we might be forming up a little team, if you know what I mean, coming over to the Discord and giving you guys even more sauce, man. You're gonna get the extra sauce. That being said, it is great to see you guys here in the chat. I got my man B Team Crypto. What up to you, bro? And All Set Analyst, green for go. Let's go. Hope all is well. Hope all is well. Thank you for being here. Much love to you guys. That being said, let's go ahead and get this party started. We got the crypto bubbles, and let me transition there. And here we go. We got VVV up 12.8%. We got Hash up 13.9%. BTW is down 10.3%. Other than that, I mean, there's a lot of green out there. Polygon's actually moving 6.7%. Morpho's up 6.1%. Zcash up 5.5%. Mostly green out there. Mostly green out there. That is what you want to see. Let's see. What was it? WorldCoin, that's down 3.7%. Atom, that's diverging a little bit, but Atom was on a little bit of a run as well. So something I always pay attention to, just to see who's running, who's kind of diverging from the market a little bit. But nothing too crazy out there, to be honest with you. Let's go over to the total market cap, sitting at 2.2 trillion. That's up 1.97%. Fear and greed index is at 40. That is neutral, finally moving its way up out of the fear region. Bitcoin is at 64,439. That is up 2.52% over the last 24 hours. That is a nice move. Ethereum is at 1910. That is up 1.94% over the last 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance at 58.8%, pretty much status quo, and it has been that way for quite some time. Quick little shill for the exchange. That's going to be 2-bit. Use code TF save 20. All right, you can save 20% on your trading fees perpetually. You're welcome for that. And they have a huge event going on right now, and they are giving away up to $3 million in prize money. So get over there. Get over to the Discord as well. Go to the link in the description. You can get all the details on, you know, what it is they're giving away. It's a laundry list of things. I ain't got time for that, but get on over to the Discord, check it out. And that being said, let's go over to the next segment, and that is going to be the Daily Degen. All right, here we go, the Daily Degen. I give you guys, the audience, the opportunity to vote whether we go long or short, and I did not even put out the poll. But there ain't many of you out there in the chat today, so that's okay. But we'll put it out there for you. Daily Degen. I don't usually talk too much TA on it, but maybe we'll talk. Give you guys a little bit of time to vote here. Moon or Doom. There you go. It's out there. I'm slacking on that, man. I didn't put anything out there. I usually put links and all kinds of stuff, but it is what it is. Let's see here. BTC, you know, just nothing on the chart. How are we going to trade that? Why are we all the way down in the hundreds? That is crazy. Bitcoin is way higher. Let's go ahead and find the price action. There it is. All right. Let's see here. Just a conservative look. Looks like you are going to hit a little area of resistance, kind of where you're at right now, right? So you are in a range, kind of establish that range. And this is just quick, right? I'm just kind of looking, just taking a little peek-see, coming back left on the chart here, see where you had support, right? This held up pretty well. That is now kind of resistance, all right? Not exactly what you want to see. But that could lead into a little bit of a rejection. All right, and let's do a little trend line here from the high through that, right? Not a whole lot of TA, like I said. But hey, if we're taking a quick glance at it, now this is just having fun. Again, I don't usually do TA on it, but I was giving you guys the opportunity to vote here. And of course, you guys are split. You would do that to me. You guys are split now 50-50. Somebody's got to break the ice, man. I give you guys the opportunity to vote whether we go long or short. And what I do is I just throw $5 on it. It's just for fun. Just having a little bit of fun here. You know what? I'm going to be the tiebreaker. I'm going to be the tiebreaker. You know what we're doing? I got 5 on it. How is the audio? Okay, the music, hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. Let me know if it is too loud. It's actually definitely loud in my headphones here. But we got 5 on it. Let's go ahead and do that. 80x. Yes, we're going to have a little fun with this one. But I'm voting short. All right, you want my vote? It's in. I'm voting short. I'm breaking the ice here, or the tiebreaker. And we're sending it because it is the Daily Degen. And there is my alert. Let me turn all these alerts off here, because we don't need all that. We don't need the nonsense. We got Wick's wife in the chat. What up, lady? Good to see you. You know who's got internet again? My dude. My dude. Let me, here we go. I know you guys will know once I play this. I know you know. Those that watch the crypto nightcap know who I'm talking about. My man FD's got some internet again. We're going to get him on the show. No doubt about it. I've been texting him. I've been blowing him up because that's my homie. All right. Let's look at the liquidation heat map here. A couple things, man. So I've been using CoinGlass here a little bit more recently. You know, I was on CoinAnk using that one. They're both free. But what I like about this one that CoinAnk, I don't know if it has, but I just like this, is this over here. This really separates it, right? So if you look to the right, you can bring up this table and what you do is you select the liquidation map, right? So you'll see the heat map, but this is saying, hey, this is what we got going on right now. So hot spot on the map is 65K. 65K is the hot spot on the map. Now, what is this? This is liquidations, all right? People would get pushed out of their positions based on getting liquidated when they go 80x leverage, like I just did for funsies. But they would get pushed out of their positions, right? So we know where that's kind of sitting on the map. Now, understanding where that kind of aligns with things is kind of the nuance, right? Or the part that we try to figure out on the charts. And if there's confluence in those areas, then we get a little bit more interested. All right, so 63.8 is the bottom and 65. So we're gonna mark those on the chart. All right, this is how we trade. I mean, mostly, right? We look at some of these liquidation levels, like where they're sitting, and this is how we nailed this one. Okay, now I know everyone that's in the chat right now listened to this. I think it was last week, right? We were looking at this level specifically at about 62.5, and that was because you had a high volume node, you had the liquidations that were sitting there, and I posted in the Discord as well. 62.5 exactly is what I posted. This thing wicked down to 62.499.9. I was within a tenth, so that would be a hit for the record. All right, so anyways, 62.5 was the area that we were looking at, and let's go ahead and just mark this. So what we were looking at right here, oh, you know what else was there? Was the monthly pivot. Did I turn that off? I may have turned it off. Let me bring that back just so you can see another reason we were looking at that. It's the strategy, that's support and resistance. There we go. There's all the fun stuff. And there it goes. There's the monthly pivot. Okay, so we were looking at that right there. Monthly pivot. Now it's the previous week low. That wasn't there before. That populated after the fact. But we were looking at this right here. And how are we going to protect ourselves? It was below, I believe, the value area low, if I remember correctly. And it may have been below that wick. So yeah, that looks about right. It could have been a little bit lower because I remember it being a little bit closer to a 2.7 if I remember correctly. And then there you go, about a 2% move to the upside. Conservatively, we were looking at getting out before some of the nonsense that's up here. Now, price did continue to work its way up. I fully understand that. But that's a beautiful setup. It's a beautiful, beautiful trade there. High volume node here, POC of the range. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Hit that single and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? And we got, my dude in the chat, my dude, Alex O Crypto. What up to you, bro? Good to see you. Much love to you, man. If you guys don't know, he is amazing. Go check him out on his channel as well. Matter of fact, we'll bring that up. That's my homie for real. We're gonna bring it up. We are gonna bring it up. Here we go. You guys are not subscribed to this guy. You ain't doing it right. There we go. Alex. You know what's crazy, Alex? You actually pop up on my TV. I guess it's because like I'm a member. So on the left side of my TV, like you are literally the only channel, because it's probably the only channel I'm a member of, that pops up on my left-hand side. So I get to see your beautiful face every time I log into YouTube on my TV. But anyways, this is the dude right here, man. Go check him out. Jesse or something, you know, I'll just post it in the there we go. Oh, Jesse's already got it. There it is, man. Anyways, go check him out, man. He's an amazing scalper. Great dude. Please go support my homie. What's he at? 21,000 subscribers, dude. That is insane. Congrats, Alex. Crushing it, dude. All right. Let's keep this party started. Or keep it going? We'll keep it going. So that is that. We were talking about liquidations. We identified 65 and 63.8. Then we got into the trade call that we had. I posted this in the Discord too. Posted it in Alex's Discord as well. So this was a level that I was looking at, and then we followed up with it on the live. So you kind of gotta, I'm not always like posting all over the place. Like sometimes I'll post these and then I talk about it on the live. So it is an incentive to watch the lives as well, because I do a lot of the trade setups really on the lives. And I will tell you, I'm a busy man. I'm not great at following up with it. I don't always post it after I talk about it on the live, even though I should. Anyways, great trade setup. We had one that we talked about at the value area high. We got a perfect sweep of the high there. Took the liquidity and down it went. Man, dude, we've been on fire with the past few calls. We had some good TradFi calls too. But that being said, let's talk about the now. Let's talk about the now. All right. So you are entering into an area of buy side liquidity. Okay, right? You just see these two wicks right here, just above the moving average. See this buy side little box here. You're approaching an order block. You are approaching the trend line that I was talking about as well, right? You have a descending level of resistance working its way down based off these two highs. So you are potentially seeing, if we pivot here, a series of lower highs, right? And that's when I talk about taking a position and getting in, let's say in this case in particular, if I talk about getting in a position and taking along against what kind of the trend looks like is forming right now, you want to get in and get out pretty quickly, right? And I never want to fight the structure. So if I were to take a long position, one of the things that I was looking at, right, we looked at getting out here at this high volume node and the POC. It also honored the fact that we were staying below this trend line, staying within the structure of the move. So if this were to compress as well, that kind of keeps you safe. So here you are, time now, working your way up. Is this something I would take as a trade? It'd be a little bit tough for me. It'd be a little bit tough. I mean, I'm gonna look at this a little bit more. I don't know if I'd be ready to jump in right here. I would actually, I think, like to push up a little bit more. I think, what do we say? It was at 65K is where you have your liquidity, right? The bulk of your liquidity, or liquidations at least, which falls in the order block, which is now closer to the value area high, the previous week high, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of stuff that's going on up there. I like that better when you have a bit more confluence. And what you would see here is a wick above this trend line, right? So you have this descending level of resistance. If you get a wick into that zone, taking liquidity and then reestablish below that trend line, that makes me feel a lot better. Also, you are now trading with a trend. That increases probability in terms of your hit rate. And then I would probably look to come back down to this POV. Now we do, or POC, sorry, not POV. We do need to update that because I haven't updated it, because sometimes I like to leave it so we can kind of go back and look at, hey, we talked about this trade setup. Here you go. Here's why. Because it will progressively update as the price action continues to move. And now you can see that the POC actually has shifted up and it is now closer to where this high volume node is. If you're looking for a short out of this area, it's going to be very short-lived. No play on words there, but seriously, you're going to have to get in and get out pretty quickly. It would be more of a scalp. Maybe intraday at best. And what you would be looking for is a move up, again, taking this liquidity up here. I don't know that the risk reward would be quite worth it. Down here it was, right? You're looking at, you were looking at close to a 3-to-1. That was kind of an easy call. This one right here gets a little bit weirder, right? Because we could push up to the value area high, you could push up to the previous week high here. There's liquidity up here as well, right? And I think that aligns more, kind of just understanding that there's liquidations up there. So the last kind of thing is, like, if I'm looking at that, let me actually measure this real quick. All right, let's see. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is really is it worth my time to continue to monitor this and set alerts and do all that stuff? And that's what you kind of got to figure out. Like, I preferably like to look for a 2-to-1. And my issue that I see already is that, like, where are you going to protect yourself? Like, if you're going to put a stop loss in here, where are you protecting yourself? Right? There's a lot going up. You have liquidity here. You have the value area high, and you have the previous week high. Which one do I use? And this is where this kind of debate, like, and it's a pretty tight area. So let's say that we take the most conservative one, which is the previous week high currently. And then we look at getting out at the POC. Because you can see the POC has been respected over and over and over and over and over again. And you already got a breakout retest. Look right here, even on the 4 hours. So if you take that down to the lower time frames, to the hourly and below, it's going to be very clear. You impulse move through, right? You guys hear me talk about that quite a bit. If you get an impulse move through the zone, you're then looking for the retest with continuation. All right, you're looking for that continuation, the momentum that is already kind of formulated there. But it's already kind of retested that level. Could we come back down for a subsequent retest? Yeah, absolutely. But again, that's where I would look at, where am I going to close this thing? And you're only looking at a 1-to-1. Now, that can change. And that can be based on the wick. If you were to just come up and just take the liquidity, right, and you put your stop loss below or above that wick, then you're looking at a 2.48. Okay, 2.48 is not bad. That's pretty decent. Only a 1% move, and it's a very, upside is pretty tight. It's less than 0.5%. So again, I would say this kind of creeps more into the realm of scalping in this case, and that's something that I would be looking for, potentially. But I gotta be around the computer for this. This isn't something you can put limit orders on. It's not something you're just gonna jump in, blindly. Like, I got to see what's going on. So what I would do personally, like, let's say I am by the computer, I'm watching this actively, I got the time to do it, then I'm coming over to look at the order flow, right? And that's kind of where we get a gauge of, like, where are some of these passive orders? What's the market telling us is happening right now? Right now you have kind of this stacked or this layered in positions right now with passive orders kind of creating like an order block, right? So you kind of start that at about 64,690, and then again here at 64,790, and then up through 65K, right? That's kind of your spot where, like, if you're going to look for, absorption, right? That would be the area that you would look for. So what do I mean by that when I say absorption? Well, what I'm talking about is when you have these passive orders and the market is really pushing to the upside, right? You'll see these volume bubbles as well, right? This is, if they're gray, the delta's towards buying. If they're purple, the delta's towards selling. So it would be pushing up, right? And if you see these gray, like a gray bubble present itself, you would probably initially think that's bullish. That's what you would likely think, that's bullish. And logically, I understand the rationale there. That being said, what you could end up seeing is that these passive orders hold. And you'll see that the price will stagnate. It won't be able to push through those passive orders. When you see that, that is absorption. Likely, the what you will see in conjunction with that is then you start looking at your open interest in CVD. And if you see open interest going up like that and CVD going down like that, that means to me, you're more likely to see price action go like that. Why is that? Well, because when you run into these passive orders and you see absorption at those levels, you then see the market, if you see more market participation, and that the market participation, the shorts are more aggressive in that area, then that means the market would be aligning with the bias in terms of seeing a rejection or a short setup from that level. Now, understanding that probably, is going to be quick, right? So let's go back and say, okay, cool. We got the POC at 63.9. What do we have in terms of passive orders at 63.9? So you would have to work through 64K. Imagine that, right? Right there, right by the POC. Would you imagine that? You got, but it's a small potatoes. You don't really get significant until you get back down to about 62.8. So that's going to perk my interest just a little bit. I want to go back to the chart and start looking at 62.8 and why is that? And there you go. You're right in the middle of an order block and a high volume node. And again, that really brings you right back to where we were. All right. And that makes sense because what they're looking at is, hey, coming back down, sweep the low, and then, you know, go back up again, right? That's kind of what those people are doing. They're just kind of sitting there hanging out. Then, hey, if we come back down to those levels, look what's happened. And I would caution you against this, by the way. Support, 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 support. How many times is that going to hold up? Doesn't matter for those guys, right? Those are limit orders, right? Those are passive orders. They're sitting on the books, and it's sitting right down here. And we know we got liquidations, we got passive orders, and we have confluence down there. So there is a possibility. Like, there is a possibility. That's what I'll say. I don't like it when, you know, it retests the level too many times, especially when you start seeing this trend to the downside, or if this actually it ends up being a pivot, right? If you really start getting that structure where it's like, all right, cool, and it's showing us, you know, something like that, you know, what's happening? Getting compressed more and more and more. So you have a descending level of resistance with a horizontal level of support. What's your probability in terms of which direction it's going to break out? In that case, your probability is that it'll break out to the downside. That's your probability. Now, if you've been beating this up, I've done this before. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Support, 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 support. You might get another play in there. And this is why we use stop losses, right? That is exactly why you use stop losses. But if the market speaks to you, if you get down to those levels and you see that the open interest and the CVD are working up, let's talk about this now. Different scenario. Open interest starts working up, and then the CVD starts working up. You'll probably see something like this, and then like that, right? Because you got to anticipate, like, hey, if the price is going down, you're likely to see some, you'll probably likely see CVD working down in confluence with, or in conjunction with, the price action. But that being said, if the price action comes down, comes down, and then we interact with these passive orders, what you would like to see: open interest up, CVD up, and then get that that bounce, right? You want to see that reaction first. So what do I mean by that? What you don't want to see is something like so, right here at the POC, where you have this big bodied candle moving through the zone aggressively, right? People call that an impulse move through the zone. You don't want to see that down here, right? What you want to see is consistently what you've seen before. Wick, 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 wick. Multiple wicks, but a wick. And you can even call that one. And this is kind of where it all started, right? It's kind of stair-stepping up, but still, wick. What you don't want to see is when a candle just goes down, you get a big body candle through the zone. Boom, boom, and it closes below. When you start getting those closes below, this is where I say it invalidates it, right? You don't want to mess with that. So keep an eye on that as you come back down to these levels. If you get a wick, good. We like wicks, but and we like the wicks. We do like the wicks. You didn't know? They're in the chat. Buck, what up, man? Hope all is well with you, bro. Yeah, dude. So that's kind of what I'd be looking for in that level, or at those levels down here, if it does come back down. Kind of talking you through the whole scenario, right? Like that's the sauce, man. Like, you know, you identify these levels, and some people just kind of leave you at that. But what I'm saying is, hey, we get down to these levels. It's not just about getting down to the level. It's what do you look for once you get there? And so, like, I kind of take you through my process of, like, if I was looking at this, what are some of the things that I would be looking for personally, right? And this kind of incorporates it, right? You're looking at structure. You got to identify the structure. Got to identify where the liquidity is, right? Because you don't want to be a liquidity, and that's what you risk sometimes. Like those passive orders that are on the books right now, they could ultimately, you know, hold up the price action. They could, right? They could. And I'm talking about these levels right here at about 62.8, 62.9, right? They could hold it up. The issue is we also know where liquidations would happen. So if the market were to push down here, knowing that passive orders is a 62.8 and you have a liquidation level at, is it 62.4? Let's verify that. It's at 63.7, your biggie, and then you have, yeah, another one there at 62.8. 62.8. So that was, let's actually update this. I do want to update it. You do have passive, or correction, liquidation sitting there. We can leave it. We can leave it for now. That's fine. But anyways, so you have liquidation sitting there. What do we say? We said 62.8, right? So update that just a little bit. $62.8. And then passive orders, 62.8. That might not be a bad spot. I don't know that I'd be overly concerned about that. And I wonder if you have your passive orders here. Look at the liquidation heat map again. The 62.8. And then I wonder if they have, if they even have a stop loss. You just got to be careful, because a lot of times what you see is when you have these levels identified, a lot of times what happens is that people are going to put their stop losses right below. So if you're putting your stop loss right below, comes down, takes all the liquidity off the market, and usually it likes to go down and kind of clear out those stop losses before ultimately seeing that reversal. So I would say, again, just, pay attention to the level. And then pay attention to the price action. Again, we want to see a wick out of that area, not a candle close below, right? And that's mainly what I'd say to look for initially. But you also want to come over to the order flow, right? So this is going to be like the first sign, right? You're going to see a wick. So cool, people are starting to buy. That's a good sign. And then you come over and you start looking at the order flow. You should be looking at both of them, honestly. But if you see that continuation in CVD and open interest going to the upside, that would be a good sign. And I would say there's an opportunity potentially there at those levels. And that, again, is at about 62.8. So keep those in your scan. Right on back down there, though, man. So you eventually, though, I would say the probability is that it's going to break. It's going to break those levels. Let's look at USDT dominance real quick. See kind of what that's saying. Kind of pushed up to some resistance. We talked about these levels up here. Let's update the fixed range. I don't even know how well that really works, but here nor there. We'll use it. Man, there is just a lot, man. It is just in the middle of everything. That's kind of hard. You got your quarterly pivot, your weekly pivot, order block central, 0.382. Good that you lost the 0.382, because if you want Bitcoin price to go up, you want this to go down. Just know that you are getting to a level where we've seen support in terms of USDT dominance, right? Value area low. If you come back and just look left, where's the price reacting? It has reacted to this level quite a few times at about 8.33. So that would line up quite well, actually. What do I mean? Well, if price action for Bitcoin were to continue to push up, you're likely to see USDT dominance continue to push down. But if you're expecting support, what does that mean? Understanding the inverse correlation between Bitcoin and dominance. Right? So if you get that bounce, or if you're getting to a level where you expect there to be support, what would you expect Bitcoin to do? Well, you would expect it to do the inverse, right? Which would mean go down. So it would go up first, down next. And that could set you up for the short, right? Come up here, take the liquidity, see that rejection from those levels. That could actually set you up for the short. Just a matter of where you kind of look to get out, I would have a hard time, saying go past the POC. I would really struggle with that, unless you push down. And if you're monitoring the trade, like if you're able to monitor it, that changes the game for you a little bit, because then you can see the reaction as you come down to the POC. Do you get a reaction or do you get an impulse move, right? That's just gonna, if this presents itself where it's just pushing right through the level, and you're like, cool, Gucci, go ahead and slide that stop loss to entry, play on house money. And if you want to try to let that run, take some profits there at the POC, all up to you on how you actually skin the game or play the game. But that's something for you to kind of keep an eye on. Let's go over to the daily degen real quick. Just want to see where that's at. Status quo. Yeah, just sitting right where we started, man. You want to talk about boring? I took this daily degen. All right, so this is just something where I let the users vote. We are on an 80x, and it is down 0.48%. How is that possible? 0.48%. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I don't know. Crank be trading during this time. He does that all the time. All right, let's go back to the charts here. We'll run through a couple more. We'll look at ETH real quick. See where ETH is at. Let's see. Yep. Looking for a potential setup down here. Again, understanding that doesn't always necessarily mean it's coming down here. It's one of those things, if it does come down here, right? Because Bitcoin came down to its monthly pivot. We were looking at Ethereum to see, hey, if it comes down to its monthly pivot also, if it kind of follows Bitcoin, that would be a nice little trade in conjunction with Bitcoin. But Ethereum actually held up, it looks like, a little bit stronger. So we're going to take that off for now, just to not crowd up the space, because it pushed up. Now, what you're running into with Ethereum, I kind of like this. Now, it might be a little hard for you guys to see, but I actually kind of like this. Let me update the exchange volume profile here. Cool, you're right at the value area high. I would have liked it if it stayed up high, but that would have been even mo better. But that's okay, because there could be an opportunity here that presents itself with Ethereum, and that is pushing up towards the previous week high. All right, so you can already see coming back left on the chart here. What do we have? We got buy side liquidity, all right? You got the box right there. You got an order block, and you have volume all sitting right here at the previous week high. So you got the previous week high, and look, you see rejection, rejection, rejection. If we come up here, there's liquidity up here. So sweep the liquidity, come back down, retest the value area high. I think is a nice little opportunity. And you can see that the value area high right now has been respected. It's been rejected. It's been resistance. It's been support. I like this. In terms of clarity, I like this one probably a little bit better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin obviously is daddy, and it's got to follow the narrative that I'm spitting right now, but I would say this looks a little bit cleaner. So let's look at this. Can we get a 2-to-1? That's not, again, you're talking scalp. You're definitely talking scalp. That's only a 1% move. That ain't much. I like the way it looks on the chart. I don't know. That's really tight in terms of taking a position. But you wouldn't really be fighting a trend per se, because you're in a very defined range right now. I don't know. I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze on that one. You do have a 2-to-1. I think, again, if it was one of those times I could actively monitor it, maybe. Just kind of look at volume, seeing where all the volume's at here. That's only going to the high, though. Man, it could be one of those things where you treat the first half of it kind of like, they're going in. Let me do a short again. I just want to see something real quick. The problem is on the 4-hour, you got the weekly, you got the POC, but your volume is down here. What if we look more like at the weekly? and then you kind of game plan it. Let's stay above the wick. So if you're looking at the previous week high, stop loss would be above the wick there, above the liquidity. Cool, so you can take all that liquidity potentially, right? But again, you're not taking it once it hits here on the ups, like when it's moving its way to the upside, right? Like if price action is working up, you're not going to hit enter right there. You're going to let the wick come up, and then you want to see that selling pressure come in, right? You want to see the selling pressure come in. I don't know why that looks like a sperm, but whatever. We are going to impregnate Ethereum here. But anyways, so from the sperm, you want to see him swim to the downside. What I would, propose here, I guess, or the way I would kind of treat this if I was looking at taking it is, okay, the value area high might be my line in the sand, right? So I jump in and I'm looking at it, and then I evaluate what happens at the value area high, and that's your decision point, right? I really, honestly, I would probably just at the value area high, stop loss entry, regardless of what happens. If it comes back up and stops me out, cool, don't give an S. But the conservative play is, hey, just stop loss the entry and then see if it actually pushes through. If it pushes through, you let it run down, and then that kind of opens you up for a 2% move down to the weekly pivot. The reason I'm kind of looking at that and think that there is a potential for that is you got this gap. Right, that gap kind of opens up the door a little bit. So you are going to run into a little bit of support right there for sure. You got your volume, you got your value area high. I mean, honestly, taking the TP there would make a lot of sense. So yeah, there's a couple ways to kind of fight this one. Get rid of that. Get rid of the sperm. I know you guys enjoyed that one. Yeah, that one would take a little bit more management. You would have to actively follow that a little bit closer. But Bitcoin will be daddy. Again, you're going to be looking for Bitcoin to get that rejection at the trend line. And you'll be looking for those keys in terms of coming over the order flow. And again, you'll want to look for CVD going down, open interest going up. That will kind of confirm for you. All right. Joe, what up to you, man? Thank you for being here. Much appreciated. Go check Joe out. He has a channel as well. Doing big things. T.I. Joe, I like to call him. All right. Let's look at gold. I've been hearing that getting a little run here recently. We did have a trade set up on gold, and you guys know.
Love gold.
There it is. There it is. And whew. Where did my setup go? Where did it go? We had it, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was based on the previous month high. So it was here. And then, if I remember correctly, was it the quarterly pivot? I don't think it was the quarterly pivot. I think we were looking actually where this liquidity is, and I was looking at this horizontal right here, if I remember correctly. Gosh. Because we were talking about this breakout. Can't remember if this was down further or not. But we had a nice little setup here for gold. Basically just looking at this breakout. Looking for a breakout retest continuation. It could, the entry could have been down here at the monthly pivot. That could have been it. That sounds, gosh, I'm trying to remember where it was. Did I take it off? Gold 4-hour trend line. Sorry, just looking at some of my, dang. All that stuff's gone. I don't even have like saved. Usually like there's a whole list of setups and overlays and all kinds of stuff. Well, anyways, we had a good call on a gold setup. Let's see the now. See what we got going on here. So you currently have your Previous week high sitting at about $4,450. That does seem like it is acting as resistance right now. Coming back left on the chart. Let's see what we got going in terms of horizontals. Yeah, you do got a little resistance in terms of horizontals that align with those levels here. A little bit of a spread, angle will be perfect. I don't know that I would necessarily flirt with a long at this point, but it is looking pretty bullish after that breakout, right? Nice little recovery there, just a little pullback again, nothing too crazy. Moving average flipped on you and it's working its way to the upside here on the 4 hour. Still looking pretty aggressive, but again, right around your previous week high, about 4,450 is where you have resistance currently. And if you were looking at a potential continuation, that's one of those things where you'd have to break this level, come back down, retest, and then work your way back up to the liquidity right there. I don't know if that's something I would necessarily jump on at this point, but let's see. It's only a 2.7% move. You would have to protect yourself. You can get a 2-to-1. I mean, that would put you below. That's a little close. That's a little close. If you really want to be conservative, I don't know that I would. Man, that's a 1.5. It's not super enticing for me. And that would be a continuation trade. I'm not as high on taking continuation trades, especially when you have aggressive moves to the upside like that. So I think I'm an X&A on that. I don't think I would take that. Now the one down here, I was a lot more excited about. That's already played out. Let's see. Any potential for a short? If you break, so if the moving average, kind of see that flip and you break, that is kind of proprietary, but here nor there, it's pretty close to the 55 EMA. If you see that break to the downside, then and you start seeing the price action start to move to the downside in terms of the structure. Like, hey, we start seeing, okay, you got a rejection here, that's your pivot, and you start working like that, right? You start seeing the trend. Then you start thinking about potentially a short, but you got a lot of stuff to work through here. I don't know that I would necessarily be excited about taking a short on gold until we're breaking this level here. But that's also where you would probably look at taking a long, right? So kind of a defined key level at the previous month high. Previous month high since at 4,200. A little 420 action there for you nerds. But previous month high, $4,200. That's where I would kind of have a decision point in terms of looking at a potential for a long or short position. So that's something I would say mark on the charts. Mark on the charts. 4,200 seems like a nice little level. Let me put a horizontal on that. Just do it 4222, and let's mark it. Add an alert. There you go. Create. Got it. So what I like to do personally when I do these alerts is I make it so the horizontal line is not visible. Right? You just see this little green tab here. It lets me know that I have an alert. I do that for liquidation levels on Bitcoin specifically, but if I just have an alert, then that's what I'll do. That way it doesn't plug up the chart. I got enough lines as is. All right. That's a decision point for me for gold. Let's see here. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla. Just saw it, and then like it just rolled right off. There we go. Yikes. All right. So you did push up to resistance. Very clear horizontal. 55 EMA, or the moving average. The Trend Reaper moving average is working its way down as well. Right near the weekly, the monthly, and yeah, there's just a lot going on. Very clear horizontal, and that's where your gap is. We kind of talked about that. I remember talking about that last week. This is a decision point for Tesla. Really big decision point. So, a couple things to think about with Tesla right now, and this is purely technical. This has nothing to do with the company, what's going on financially. I don't really follow that as much for Tesla. So that being said, if you are to get back into this, right, you can see this was a very defined fixed range volume profile here. So you had the value high, kind of aligns with where you found support. Where you at now? Right here. So you have that before your breakout. That's important. impulse move to the upside, come back down, retest, bounce, and here you are now with resistance. So do you take a long here? No. You don't take a long here. You wait. But this is where we start figuring out what's next, right? Because the odds are, again, this is just technicals, right? We don't have the benefit of knowing, you know, what the market is saying in terms of order flow, because I don't have access to that right now. Let me see. Does this have Tesla on it? I have not done this before. No, doesn't. Hold on, I tried to spell Tesla. It does have Tesla. But it's on the exchanges. You can trade Tesla on 2-bit and bit Unix if you want. By the way, with leverage. I am very interested to see what this looks like. Holy moly. Okay. So I don't know the sweet spot in terms of looking at the passive orders. That would take me some time to adjust. But you do see this. This pops to me. That's at 337. Why do I say that? Look at this consistent line across. A lot different than all this spotty action, right? This is very consistent line, and it's been on the books for a minute. So let's look at that. I'm gonna go back to Bitcoin here. Oh, you know what? I don't even have to do all that. I can just TradeFly. Bam! There you go. All right, let's go back to Tesla here. What do you say that was? 327? Gosh darn it. I got distracted. ADD just kicked me right there. Was it 327? I think it was 327. TSLA. Darn it. Stupid. Gotta go back to Hyperliquid. 337. That's not much of a move. That's not super exciting. What about is this one? 330. No, it was this one. It was 337. That's your next one though, 330. So there's two levels to look at. 337 and 330. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, hold on now. This is significantly different. Yeah, I would have to adjust these passive orders. Look at the difference here. So this is yellow, right? And it stands out to you. I think you'll get a bounce out of that. 8.99. Whatever. But then you come down here, 2.9K. So yeah, passive orders have to be adjusted here to make sense. Obviously it's set up for Bitcoin right now. Oh man. All right, so what is that? 330? We're gonna look at that. We are gonna look at that 330. Right there on that high volume node. Come back left on the chart. What I'm looking at, I just want to see what kind of price reactions you had at that level. All at that level, right? Then what was that at? 338? I don't know that I can really count that. But 330. That's right where you had your shift in structure and you had a rejection. That, my friends, might be an area to look at. 330. Let's go ahead and put that on. So again, horizontal. I'm going to look at 330. And then we'll put it just above, maybe 331 to get an alert. All right, so a couple things to think about with Tesla here, right? We got this big gap, and let me see. Let's look at terms of volume as well. You got a gap in volume is kind of what I'm looking. You do. You got a little gap in volume. Not crazy, but once you get above it, you do get a little bit of a gap. Got some sell side liquidity here. And looking at the highs. Look at that. So that's just something I'm kind of looking at right now for Tesla. Got that gap. And your yearly pivot. But what do you know about me? If I'm looking at something, I ain't flirting with this. Why? I can't tell you how many times price will come up. Do whatever it does here. Comes down, retests, hits that, and then boop. So let's look at something that just fills the gap. Got your monthly pivot. Got your gap. 6%. I wouldn't be mad about that. And you stay under the structure. And then, how are you going to protect yourself? The first one was at 337. Ah, man, I don't know. I mean, you can get a 2-to-1. Pretty close to a 2-to-1. It may not be perfect. You'd be under the weekly pivot. And then you have passive orders right around that. You probably do. Honestly, though, like, your passive orders are at 337. Like, I gotta want to be below that, which doesn't quite give you a 2-to-1. 336. That's pretty close. I don't know. That would be something for you guys to think about on your own, but that might not be a bad area because then you're going to get your breakout retest continuation. I don't know at that point. If you're looking for a breakout retest continuation, I don't know at that point if you really have to honor the passive orders that are below you. I would argue probably not. But that could be an opportunity there. And then what we say, 330. It's another spot. Keep an eye on. I don't know though. You did a fib retracement on that. What is that? Let me see where that puts you. You go load, if that's your pivot, that's your 0.382. Right at 330. That would be bullish continuation. Now that would be a little better in terms of risk to reward. Look at that one. Brings up and fills the gap. That's 11% move. You can be below the previous week low and still get a 4.38. Yeah, I'm in on that. I like that a lot better. All right, let's make this look a little bit prettier here. Do a trend line. I think we need to make this a different color so it pops. I'm gonna turn the orb off. Does the music sound staticky? All right, Joe, take it easy, bro. It does. It sounds really staticky. All right, I'm gonna cut that. I'm not sure what's going on there with the music. Sorry if it was staticky for you guys. It's staticky for me. All right. Let's see. So I turned the orb off. Just want to clear out some of that nonsense here. Let's actually use this right here. So down to the 0.32 and look for a push up. We don't really need that. Get rid of all this nonsense here. See what the daily looks like real quick. That's where you had your break of structure. Dude, I kind of like, I do like that. Just trying to look at this some more. I'm just kind of analyzing it, right? But let me save this one. Download the image. Something I need to get better about is posting these in the Discord. I always forget, like after the lives. Little sneak peek on that one. Let's go over to TradeFly TA. Squad. Tesla. And let's go ahead and drop this in here. Sort by date, create it. Ooh. There you go. Putting it in the Discord. I'm always slacking on that. I gotta, I know I keep saying I gotta webhook it though. Make it a lot easier just to do it straight from here. I know like now you can actually post it to your X, which is interesting. Tweet image. Or copy a link. I wonder what that does. Sorry, you guys are gonna be learning with me here. Let's see what happens. Actually, let me put it in one of my hidden folders here just to try it out. Let's go to that one. That would make my life a little easier. Hell yeah. All right. Well, that's cool. Then I don't have to download it and post it. I can just hit copy and then I can just drop it in. I know there's probably a better way. All good. I'll work through that. Not going to make you guys suffer. All right, fam. I think that about wraps it up. I hope everyone had a great day today. Thank you for stopping by. Much, much love to you guys. As always, please like and subscribe. That will help the channel grow. That's pretty much the only thing I'm asking for you. Come on over to the Discord. That is, like I said, I do drop and do TA over there as well. So things that you see me talk about on the channel, a lot of times I've already kind of explained it in the Discord. And I might be, a little bit more, well, I won't say thorough, but you'll be able to see it there by just catching it real quick on a live, trying to screenshot it or something like that. It'll already kind of be there. And then you can kind of see exactly the levels that I'm looking at. But that being said, thank you guys. Much, much appreciate it. So have a great night. And as always, trade safe, be safe. I'm out.
When you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the drive halfway is a nice range, cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why they say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go,